eventually start streaming on Facebook again too. But StreamYard costs like an arm and a half to stream on like more than two platforms.
Oh, see, I didn't know that about it.
Yeah. So right now I'm not even streaming from StreamYard at all. I only use this just for the audio and the video. I use
Okay.
Restream to do the YouTube and Twitch. But
You've
StreamYard
got a
back
whole
in the
like
day,
empire going on.
yeah, dude, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I used to
Yeah.
do additional Twitch streaming on top of that under a different moniker. And at one point in time, I'm like, it is too insane for me as like a parent. We were talking about, time, as a parent. And like, it was like, it's too insane for me to try to juggle running like a Twitch channel and then a comic podcast. Like I need to so I just combined it. It was only natural to do that. Man, it was a hassle, but I love Twitch streaming. It was a lot of fun just playing video games, people watching me.
That feels like the dream for so many people.
Dude,
right?
it really is. But a lot of people don't realize like you have to be good at talking. Like there's a difference between
Right, you have to
talking,
multitask.
Yes, you have to be good at like engaging with talking, I should say. And
Totally.
yeah, it's a challenge. So I am good to go as long as you are. For everyone that is watching, we will be joined by Steven later. But until then, we have our good friend Lyndon. We're going to be chatting about the Laundrymen, which is live on Kickstarter. I'm going to be dropping a link in chat, and you guys can head over there and back right now. Or simply put it on Facebook and Twitter. Word of mouth costs you nothing. It's free. Share that. I mean, dude, it's a supernatural horror. It's freaking awesome. I really love the colors in the second one. I feel like the color palette is like so much more explosive in the second one.
It's so much fun, right? Let's spend this time before Steven gets here talking about how great a job he's doing and get it out of the way so that I don't have to tell it to his face.
All right, so I'm good to go. Are you good to go?
I love it. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic episode of Keeping It Geekly. It's your Cape Crusader, Cody, and we're hanging out with our returning guest, Lyndon Radchenka. We're here to break down the Laundrymen, Book 1 and 2. We're going to be joined by Steven in just a little bit. But until then, Lyndon, what has been up, man? You've been exploding since we've last talked. I think it was like 2 years ago since I've last had you guys.
I think it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, it's been busy. We've been making books, right? I'll let Steven talk to what he's been up to in the last 3 years because he's been busy in a whole other way. But I think when we put out Laundrymen Book 1 in 2023, now we're talking about Book 2. Like you said, it's on Kickstarter right now. And in the interim, I put out a book called Hero Man that was super cool. It was like a comedy superhero book that a friend of mine, Zach Schuster, and I did. And we got invited to the comics festival in France in Angoulême, which was awesome. We went there as part of the Canadian delegation to speak to people about it.
It's like no big deal, just
no, it was awesome. It was so cool. I lived in France for a year during the pandemic, and so the ability to go back there and try and brush up on my really poor French was amazing. And then in 2024, I think 2024, me and some friends, including Steven, colleagues of mine, we put out this book called Dire Beasts, and that was a really fun project. Again, monster story, an anthology, but the rule of it was that everyone had to write and draw their own comics, and I'd never illustrated anything before, so I had to learn how to illustrate using the sort of the tools that I had. And so I used all these like public domain comics as a sort of like a light box base, and I was mixing pieces of them and drawing over top of them and trying to come up with something new that way. So that came out during the time, and then last year, I received an email from an editor at DC Comics that I had been pestering for incessantly for actually since the first Laundryman book came out, and they told me that they had space for me in an upcoming anthology, the Halloween anthology. And so I pitched a bunch of ideas, and one got accepted, and I ended up working on this Zatanna story with artist John McCrae, who is known for The Demon and Hitman and has been in comics for professional comics longer than I've been alive. And that book came out in October. It's called DC's Satanic Panic, which is super cool because they needed someone to write the Zatanna story, and they asked me to do it. So that came out in the spring or in the fall. And at that time, I was lettering a book called Death Fight Forever, which was um, written by Andrew McLean of Headlopper, and
Wow.
it has this like incredible cast of artists on it.
Hmm.
And that book's coming out later this month for Image Comics. So it feels like, yeah, since the last time we talked, Cody, everything's just been happening, and it feels at the time, it feels like everything's taking forever. Um, and then you look back and you realize that all this stuff has happened. So
Yeah.
it's been amazing. It's
How did it
been
feel to write Satana, dude? That's crazy.
it was so much fun. I mean, I love the supernatural stuff. Obviously, we're talking about a supernatural book here. But what was really cool about it was I had like a base knowledge of Zatanna when they asked me. Um, but what it gave me was a great excuse to deep dive into a lot of the recent stuff that had been coming out from about her. So
Hmm.
I read, the Paul Dini series. I read what was the first issue of the Jamal Campbell series at the time that I was doing my research, and I read the entire Justice League Dark run that James Tynion had
It was a
done.
good one. That was a
It
good one.
was
Yeah.
it was really good. Yeah, it was really good. So I really got to know this character, and it's really tough when you're diving in and you only get 10 pages, which was the length of the Zatanna short that I was doing, to really come up with um, a personal story and something that hasn't necessarily been done before, even though it feels like it has been done before, and something that new readers can use to discover the character while trying to introduce something that fans of the character will also appreciate.
Hmm.
So it was this roller coaster ride, because it felt like once my pitch was accepted, I had to get writing right away, and John was really quick to do the art, and then it was like, okay, we're just prepping this for print now, and then it's over.
Yeah.
And so that book came out on October 1st last year, and what was really funny about that was, obviously I'd been working really hard for a number of years to try and get this opportunity. And when you go into comics, or I know that I do, dreamt of writing for DC at some point. And so it was this like huge career milestone. And my family having actually knowing what DC Comics is,
Yeah.
because
Now you can be like,
they
this is what
they
I do.
get
They're
it.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they got it. They were really happy for me. But then a week later, on September 7th, or on October 7th, my wife and I revealed to them that we were expecting our first child together. And suddenly, like, the DC stuff just doesn't matter. They don't give a
Hmm.
shit anymore about it, because we're talking about kids now instead. And so it felt like the boom of it really went by quickly.
That is awesome. I mean, did you find any struggle with like trying to create something that was like new, while I guess balancing like the lore of that character?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And I think, a lot of the elements that I connected with the character are things that creatives have connected with Zatanna um, emotionally, like since her inception. And so I tried not to think too much about or worry too much about, the diehards, because I was writing a story in an anthology. So it's not
Hmm.
necessarily only for the people who are picking up Zatanna titles, but I wanted to write something that was accessible to anyone. Um, so I ended up writing a story about Zatanna performing her magic show one night, when while on stage, is sort of sucked into this pocket dimension and has to face off against the monsters there, all sort of within the span of her stage show. So when she finally defeats them at the end of that comic, she reemerges on the stage like almost no time has passed. Um, and that sort of worked as this vehicle of keeping things compact and the comic nice and short. And it really came down to, how can I pack in some emotional moments in this while also giving Zatanna, the action and the ability to show off how great she is as a character in only 10 pages, 8 pages if you're factoring in that sort of beginning and end.
Yeah.
between it. But
I
yeah,
always
no, it was amazing.
I really always loved her team ups with John Constantine. I always thought they were like the perfect match together. We have our good friend over on Twitch joining us, Tipsy Pickle. And we
Hi,
have a
Tipsy
question
Pickle.
over on YouTube. Where do you start if you want to create a comic book graphic novel? How do you go from concept in your head to a fully print book in your hand?
Ooh, it's a big journey. I like to think the first thing you need to do is decide whether or not you're able to illustrate it yourself. And if you're not, then you have to go and try and find an artist that you connect with and can um, can carry out sort of a shared vision that the two of you have. I think there's a lot in the indie comic space that is, this is my idea, this is my voice. The artist's job is just to sort of do what I am thinking about, and I think that's the wrong approach to comics. I
Hmm.
think what you need to do is find an artist whose style you really like, talk to them, connect with them, be a professional, but also like get a sense of whether or not the two of you can work together. And I always advocate to start with something small. Um, I think that I like to tell new collaborators that something small is going to give you an opportunity to just decide whether or not you like each other enough to continue working together. Um, and from there, you can start like if you can get past that first like 6 or 8 page story, then I think you can start talking about something bigger here.
No, absolutely. And we have something bigger indeed. Laundrymen Book 1 and 2. We
Yeah.
had you guys on for the first book, a couple years ago. I had the chance to read a big chunk of book 2, and I loved it. It felt, you know, a little bit, it's word like brighter. I felt like the colors a little bit brighter. It felt like there was a lot more exploration of color palettes in this.
Mhm.
I really loved the introduction of new, creatures and things that go bump in the night. But for anyone joining us for the first time, what is Laundrymen about? And we have our good friend Steven joining us right here. So let me go ahead and get him pulled in as well.
Oh yeah, let him in. I'll do the intro on what the laundryman is while you're doing that.
Welcome, Steven.
Oh, he's
Thank you.
here.
Yeah,
Look, he made
sorry
it.
I'm late.
So we're live right now. We're streaming
Sweet.
live.
Awesome.
I don't
Cool.
know if
Hi,
you
live.
noticed yet. I don't know if you
yeah,
noticed yet, Steven. Our Kickstarter just bumped over $2,000, which
Hey,
is
that's
super
what we
exciting.
wanted.
Canadian. Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted.
Nice.
But we were just diving into what the Laundryman is. Do you want to pitch us on the Laundryman?
I do. So for people who haven't like read The Laundryman or heard of it before, it's about two monster hunters who solve supernatural crimes out of their laundromat. So it's like the stories are about Brian and Wade, who are these like, it's your typical like black suit organization, but it's just them, their cigarettes, and their car. And they go around solving all these supernatural mysteries. Yeah, I mean that boils it down. What do you think, Lynn?
I think you've nailed it. I was actually, before you got in here, I was just talking about how valuable it is to have an artist partner that you can work with and get along with and sort of vibe on the same level. And Cody was just saying how much he loved the colors of the first part of the new book.
Oh, good.
Which is good. Yeah, we've been talking about colors all week.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, the first Laundryman book was this sort of character study, for lack of a better term. It was like, we call it the first case file of the Laundryman, and it was about Wade and Bryan, our two main characters, going back to Wade's hometown to investigate sort of a string of murder mysteries, and they really work closely together to uncover these dark secrets there. And we really get to know the characters in that book. And so when we started on this second book, we really wanted to expand the story, grow the world, look at these characters in different ways. And so they actually spend most of the book separated from one another. At the end of book one, Brian's stuffed unceremoniously into a van, and Wade spends a lot of this book trying to find him, and they end up on this in this gang fight again, of vampires versus aliens, and it's this whole giant thing. But what it really is this story about the distances will go in the name of friendship. And I think that's I think that's a really apt theme for this book, because I'm working with Steven on it, who I consider to be one of my closest friends, and to be able to have this journey together on this really long tale has been amazing, and I'm so excited to see this book when it finally gets made, and this like big bombastic action filled story,
Yeah.
compared to the first book, and how the readers who check it out find it, because it's just, we just turned the whole thing up a couple notches.
So, Steven, what's been up with you the last couple of years? Me and Lyndon were talking about when he first came on. It's been about 2 to 3 years since you guys last, been on the show. So, what's been up since you've, last been on?
I told him to ask you.
Yeah, I'm working every day, 12 hours a day on this book. That's all I do for 3 years. No. I mean, I'm a dad now, so that I think that's a big reason.
Congratulations!
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think it's a big
something
reason
in the
why.
laundry, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be it. Yeah.
And I think that's a big reason why things got pushed along. It was about a year there where I wasn't really able to do much work at all, and then I think now I'm slowly creeping up on being able to ramp up my daily output. But that's been it. Like it's more family, Laundrymen, more work. I've got more responsibilities in my job now. That's why I was late. And
baby's hitting those nights where they sleep all the way through, huh?
Oh yeah, dude,
it's nice.
He's been doing it like almost the entire time he's been sleeping through the night. We've like lucked out. So at least we had that, but then like he's hardcore every day otherwise. So yeah.
That is awesome.
It's a great time though. Yeah, it's a good life. It's nice.
I also just had a baby recently in July.
Dude.
We were, dude, it's
congrats. Look at us, eh?
So I really love the color palettes in this. It felt like they were a lot more brighter than the first book. I mean, there was one scene in particular within book 2 where it's just like pink and blue, and it's like such a beautiful, like, page panel. What was your direction with the coloring for this book?
So especially with part 1 of this book, I was really trying to start simplifying my palettes, and like get it down to where like the colors, they follow like color theory, but are also indicative of the mood. Because one of the things in comics, you want to keep things as simple as you can. In these cases, and where like each scene almost has its own color scheme in a way. And so with that one you're talking about, am I correct in assuming it's where Bryan is kind of learning about his whereabouts and what he's doing, and he's kind of walking through the building? Yeah. And so I wanted it to get like almost like the light switched, and it's just weird. And like, so I wanted the reader to get that vibe of like, I wanted you to feel as weird as Bryan felt walking around. And despite some of the things Bryan is seeing where he'll just shrug off and he's like, oh, okay, I know what this is. But he's seeing things that he doesn't understand as well. So I wanted it to feel really weird that way. So
I really love it too, because this book does get weird. I mean, we have Godfather. Lyndon, give us an explanation of Godfather. I mean, I love that whole scene, especially when there's like, which one are you? That's like, we all are.
Yeah. So Bryan's captured at the beginning of this book. He wakes up sort of in this lab warehouse that he chased around, Steven's talking about, and he ends up almost escaping, and he's sort of captured and carried into a hallway, and he's told that what he's going to do is meet the head of the mob, the godfather of the mob. And when he's brought into this room, what he's faced with is a table full of aliens playing cards. And I had a lot of fun with that scene, because he asks them which one of them is the godfather here, and they all say that they're the godfather. So there's like this committee of aliens that are actually the ones that are running this mob. And what I really love about writing these characters is they're going through all of these supernatural, sort of incredible situations, but they treat it like it's just another day on the job.
Yeah,
which is a lot of fun. So like nothing ever really impresses them or surprises them. They're just sort of deadpan, especially when they're around each other. But what's really fun about this scene is that Bryan sort of takes that in, and he just sits down at the table and asks to be dealt into the card game. And that's when they start revealing the details of why they kidnapped him, and they need his help. And he's, you know, the Laundrymen are sort of these mercenaries for hire, and they convince him to help them survive the onslaught that they're facing of, you know, they're facing an extinction level event from these vampires. And it's not explained until later in the book, but it's revealed at that moment that Bryan hates vampires for some reason. And so he offers to take the job. Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of vampires, let's go ahead and pull up the Kickstarter for the Laundrymen Book 1 and 2. See what all the hype is about. For everyone that is watching, right here is a link. You can check it out along with us if you're able to back. We would love to see that, but simply putting that on Facebook and Twitter, word of mouth is 100% free, and it costs you nothing to do. So we have the campaign right here. And so we're going to see more of an in-depth look at vampires in this?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, the premise, the overarching premise of this book, if we're getting into the weeds here, is that the vampires are trying to hunt down and kill these aliens, and we're looking at two sort of rival gangs. So if you keep scrolling down there, you see caught on opposite sides of a timeless conflict, and that's what we're dealing with here. And the vampires
timeless.
Timeless. The vampires have figured out how to control werewolves. And so our first chapter of this book ends with the werewolves arriving at this warehouse to destroy Bryan and all of these aliens. And it's this this really, going into the second chapter of that book, it's this really tense situation of them trying to escape while being caught in this onslaught of werewolves. So we have a lot of fun here with the werewolf vampire rivalry and what we're turning into a vampire alien rivalry instead.
I think it's really cool. You know, traditionally you see vampires versus werewolves, so I think it's cool that you have the vampires controlling the werewolves.
Yeah, that's an intentional thing that we're going to keep building on in the story, is how they've sort of learned to control the werewolves. And that's sort of if I want to call it like the C tier, it's something that we see unfold very slowly over the previous book and into this book and into the next book, is how that all sort of plays out between the vampires and the werewolves.
Yeah, like this book, it tells you a lot, it gives you a lot to go on for this, but there's definitely, like, it is a slowly expanding thing that we will see more of through more books. You know, get more pieces of it, because it's a really nice thread to keep pushing through. So,
and right here, these colors are just gorgeous. I really love how it has such a tone and atmosphere in just these few pages, and then that sudden abrupt change right here we were talking about previously, how everything's kind of just like this different palette. I just love how it hits you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love looking back at the pages, and because I haven't looked at these ones like deeply in a while, because I'm working on another one, and I like them. I'm happy with them.
What's been really fun, Stephen, I was thinking about this earlier this week, is that your colors are something that people have remarked on since the first book we worked on together, Infinite Universe. It's something that I think has been really consistent in your work, even as you've leveled up as an artist with each project, is you've always had really strong colors in your work.
And like this, obviously this second book has been a bit of a labor of love, staying consistent for like 3 years, trying to get this thing done. And like my abilities have kind of evolved over that time too. So like the first book, you see kind of a progression of what I can do. And you see that in the second one. And the colors because a lot of the art you're seeing in the Kickstarter is for the first part of the book. A lot of the colors in the second and third parts of the book, as well as like the art skill, I would say, is like leveled up and looks, the colors that you're seeing in here, it's like the evolution of that. And I'm really happy with what I'm putting out in the final book. Is going to look really nice. I'm really excited about it. Yeah,
that is awesome. So we have a look at some of the rewards here. You can get the full digital book 2 for just $12, 80 pages, awesome price on that. And then book 1 and 2 PDFs, 160 pages for $20. I mean, dude, that's awesome. $10 for both books. You have a mega digital comics bundle with a whole slew of titles here. You can get both books 1 and 2 of Laundrymen. There was Another Life Part 1, Infinite Universe, What Will Not Last, Dead Work, Dire Beast, When I Get Home, and Hero Man. Printed copy of book 2, $25. You can get it signed for just $35. Book 1 and 2 for $45. Some awesome tiers here. You can get bundles from Stephen and Lyndon's comic book bundle for $100. And then the original art for $200. So what does this entail?
So that one's actually sold already.
Oh, congratulations.
But what's super fun about that one is so that piece of art, our friend Zach Schuster is doing the backup doing a backup story for us for this book. And he did some guest art for us when we were working on our first book. And he is what we call in our local community a quote true artist, because his art is done on paper.
I'm not real.
Many people do it on a screen instead. And so Zach was kind enough to donate that original art to the campaign to help with the book. And I'm really excited to see to send it to its new home now when this campaign wraps up, because it went earlier today, which is really exciting.
That is awesome. So what do they call a true writer? Do you have to write that down on paper? Like if you're a digital writer
in a bathtub with a typewriter.
Steve's yeah, get him.
No, a true writer is someone
typewriter.
A true writer is someone who's actually writing regularly, which I do not identify with. I often say, like, to be a writer, you have to actually write. And so I go stretches.
Writers don't write.
I go through these stretches where I feel like I'm writing for like a sprint, and then I have to put on the marketing hat, and I'm doing that instead. And at that point, I'm a marketer. I'm not necessarily a writer anymore for a while. Right now, I'm a marketer.
Manager.
Yeah, right now I'm a manager and a marketer.
Hey, that's a beast in itself, I feel. So, for anyone who might be on the fence about backing this wonderful campaign, what would you two like to say to them to help push them over that hump? Steven, let's start with you.
What I like to say, I'm going to push it over the hump. Well, okay, so what's cool about this book is it is the second one after the first one, and there's going to be a third one after that. And you know you're going to want the third one. So you have to get the second one in between. But also, this is like our latest work, and it is beautiful. It is well written. It's like, I don't know, this is some of the best art I've ever made. So I really want you to see it.
That's why we got Lyndon as the marketer.
Yeah.
Cody, do you know who Scott Snyder is?
Yes, sir.
Who is he?
Fantastic Batman writer, if I'm not mistaken.
You're currently writing Absolute Batman, known as the biggest book on the market right now. Does that sound?
Dude, I love it. I love it.
I love it too. If you scroll down our Kickstarter page here, you'll notice he gave us a blurb on our first Laundrymen book, talking about how much he enjoyed this book, which was super great at the time when that book came out. But we showed him the first chapter of the second book, actually the same chapter that you read. And he told us it was our best chapter of the series yet. And
that's awesome.
I can tell you, that the rest of this book only build on that first chapter, and therefore this is our best book. So said the currently best writer in comics. And if you won't take my opinion on that, take his opinion on it instead.
Listen to Scott Snyder.
Or else.
Back the project today.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Lyndon, Steven, you guys have both been on the show. You know we love to wrap things up with a little bit of advice on what you guys are up to outside of creating comics. And, I mean, of course, with you guys being dads, outside of baby time, too. So, Lyndon, for the inspiring writer out there looking to enhance their craft, what would be your biggest tip for them to help them achieve that? And then, Steven, we'll hit you with the same question, but on the art side for the artists out there looking to, maybe practice a new habit or a new tip or trick to kind of make them, more efficient at what they do. What would be your advice for that?
Me or Lyndon?
Lyndon first.
No.
So, I was thinking about it. And, I think the common advice when it comes to writing is you just have to keep writing, and that's how you improve. But lately what I've been thinking about is trying to do something different, which is I'm a strong believer in, to be a writer, you have to be a reader. That's something that Stephen King said for forever. But I'm a strong believer that to be a good writer, you need to read works that aren't just comics. And I was watching there's a study I saw not that long ago that was talking about how they looked at comics writers, successful comics writers, and sort of the qualities that those writers had in common with one another. And one of the things that they found was that those writers had experience writing different genres. So they weren't just doing action, they were doing action and romance and horror and drama. And I really think that when it comes to telling stories, similar logic applies, which is if you want to write interesting work, you need to embrace interesting, you have to intake interesting information. And that means stepping outside of just comics. I've been reading history books recently. I've been reading about the French Resistance. I've been reading about the history of fascism. Who can tell why? But all of these things, I think, are important steps in growing your craft as a storyteller. And again, that's to be a good storyteller, you have to expose yourself to as many different types of stories as possible. And so I think that is where my advice right now is for anyone who's trying to level up their craft.
Some awesome advice there. Steven, what about you for the artists out there looking to enhance their craft, get better at what they do? You know, what would be your biggest piece of advice?
You know, I can give a lot of advice. One is like finish something. We say that all the time in comics is like, even if it's 6 pages, 3 pages, doesn't matter, finish it. Another one is pick your favorites. What attracts you to comics? What attracts you to art? And like monkey see, monkey do. Like do what they're doing, because you're gonna find your style making mistakes, doing the things that you love to see. So like if Dave Gibbons, Watchmen, if the way he draws it, 9 panels, straight up and down, pretty static characters, is what you like, just do what he's doing, and then you'll do that. But a big one, and it's quite technical, and it's a very daunting thing, but it's whenever I see the difference between like a comic where if I look at it and go, this is this person's first comic versus this person did a great comic. It's like the acting in the book, the acting / anatomy. And so taking time to actually sit and learn anatomy, but also learn it while you're working, and like try to always make sure you are moving the character in such a way that is applicable to how a human can move. Even if it's a stretchy fantasy character, the reader can kind of tell when someone understands anatomy and someone doesn't, even has a fleeting understanding of anatomy. Like you look at The Simpsons, and like, yes, they have round, curvy elbows and stuff, but the people who created The Simpsons still understood how a human moves. And you can see that in the way that the hands move and the way the shoulders and the elbows move. So that is a huge important thing, is understanding acting and anatomy and making sure that things are moving in such a way that it's still scratching that itch in the reader's brain to understand that these are people.
Wow, what's some great advice there from both of you guys. That's outstanding. So outside of that, you know, what are you guys up to? What video games are you guys playing? What books are you reading? You know, Lyndon, I know you already gave us some titles, but maybe comics outside of those. And then, you know, what TV shows or, you know, movies are you guys watching? Steven, we'll start with you.
Okay, comics. It's Vagabond, a manga by Takahiko Inoue. It is just some of the greatest stuff, and it's all based on like visually. It's all based on like the Kurosawa films and like Yojimbo and stuff, and like it's just the greatest. And like that, I talk about like doing what my favorites do. It's like sometimes I'll just open it up and be like, hey, what did he do here? How did he solve this problem? I need to solve it the same way. And then movies, I saw Marty Supreme like a couple weeks ago.
I heard good things.
The ping pong movie with Timothée Chalamet. I literally walked out and I said to my buddy, I was like, I think that was the greatest movie I've ever seen. And I texted Lyndon and I was like, I think that might, look at the way I was like, I think it might be one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. And I don't know, I came out of there. And then TV, Bridgerton season 4 just started, and it's amazing. It's like a beautiful period incorrect drama with over the top romance and like comedy and it oh, it's wonderful. The show, that show is wonderful.
Comics, I've been reading Exquisite Corpses and Assorted Crisis Events by Dennis Camp and our friend Eric Zawadsky. Amazing book. Movies, I went and saw Hamnet not long ago. That was really good. Last week, I actually went to the theater and watched the second Lord of the Rings movie, extended edition, which is great.
So good to see on a screen.
There's nothing better than no one being able to get a hold of you for 4 hours at a single time. It was amazing. My wife and I are currently
watching. How do you manage the pee breaks during that thing, though?
Well, see, the great thing is you know when to get up. You've seen the movie before.
Fair.
You just, they're... Sam and Frodo are cooking potatoes. I'm gonna get up and go to the bathroom. I know that.
All the Sam and Frodo scenes.
Yeah. It's the Sam and Frodo scenes. You can get up at any time, but it's right before they get captured by the Gondorians, so it was fine. TV. I've been introducing my wife to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I also recently started rewatching the 2015 Muppets TV series, which was a ton of fun. I'm getting ready for
some throwback there.
I'm getting ready for the new Muppet show to come out later this week. I don't know if you know, they're doing a Muppet special on Disney that I'm really excited about.
If this works out, we'll make a series.
Exactly,
that's great.
I have to make sure that I watch it on the premiere day for that exact reason.
Yeah.
And for video games, actually, I've been replaying my way through the Pokemon series because for my honeymoon earlier this year, my wife and I traveled to Japan, and Pokemon is everywhere. So like everywhere, it's like a cultural touchstone. And so I caught the bug again and started playing through the old games just because they're super chill and relaxing, and things have been so busy right now getting ready for a baby and doing all this work that it's nice to have something that's familiar to dive into.
You gotta wait till that baby gets older, man. The Pokemon hype becomes real. My kids, I got an 8-year-old, I have a 7-year-old, and they are obsessed with Pokemon. Like I used going to a card shop as like a reward system. Like, hey, we can put out a few holographics,
We can rip some packs. That's right. Just like when we were 7 and 8.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
awesome.
Yeah.
So everyone watching, right here is a link to back this awesome campaign tonight. I had a chance to read a big chunk of the book 2 and book 1, and I loved it. It's a fantastic series to get into, and Lyndon and Steven are awesome creators. You two, thank you so much for swinging by. It was awesome to catch up. Hope you all have a fantastic night, but most importantly, guys,